Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the October meeting of the Interstate 35 School District Board of Directors. We'll start with a quick roll call. Nathan Gibson here.
Melissa Keller here.
Monica Strange here.
Haley Cormany here.
Okay. And Director Buckland's joining us remotely. She has parent-teacher conferences tonight, but she's taken some time to join, so she is here as well. So please join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag Review of the I-35 mission statement and district priorities. The Interstate 35 Community School District exists to develop lifelong learners and responsible, productive, successful citizens in an ever-changing society. Our district priorities are to articulate and support a cohesive, student-centered pre-K through 12 vision for continuous school improvement, engage in effective teaching and relevant learning for the 21st century, and operate with fiscal integrity, efficiency, and effectiveness. The board goals are to continue to strengthen the culture of learning at Interstate 35 Community School District that lends to engaged learning and rigorous growth. And by the end of the school year, the school will ensure transparency and will achieve optimal resource management by aligning staffing levels with student enrollment, maintaining a balanced budget, and ensuring full compliance with Iowa taxation laws. Directors should have got a copy of the agenda. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Been properly motioned. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Next, we have open forum. Residents, students, parents, guardians, and staff members of the district may address the board about relevant topics. Those who wish to speak must sign up at the beginning of the meeting. Speakers' participation is limited to 5 minutes per meeting. We ask that speakers remember that Iowa law prohibits the board from discussing specific employees, students, or their performance. I do not think we have any sign-ups this evening. No. Okay. Next, we have the student representative report.
The cross-country program is focused on continuing to improve personal records and developing tighter team packs to improve scoring potential. The cheerleading team has finished cheering on the varsity football team and is now taking the next step and have learned their game time spirit competition routine to take to state on November 1st. Their goal is to earn a better placement at the IHSAA state cheer competition. The marching band have taken their drill show to the state marching band competition. The program earned a Division II, which is one of the best scores a band can receive. They are currently learning music for their winter concert and working on music for basketball games. The dance program is working on a jazz routine to take to state competition at the beginning of December. Senior Emma Phillips received a Division I rating at the Iowa State Dance Solo Competition. After state, they will work on routines to perform at basketball games. End of season show will be on February 27th, where they will perform the annual co-ed routine and preschool through 4th grade dance clinic. Their goal is to receive a Division I rating at state competition. The concert choir is challenging members with SSAB pieces and are learning pieces that are sung a cappella. Their goals are to increase honor choir and school-wide involvement. 2 students are currently preparing to audition for all-state chorus, and 17 members are recording Opus Honor Choir auditions. The program hopes to continue its push in music literacy throughout the year. The drama department is staging and designing their fall play, It's a Madhouse, with performances on Friday, November 7th and Saturday, November 8th. Students have memorized lines, learned their characters, put together costumes, and have put weeks of effort into the show to give their audience their money's worth. The National Honor Society. New people have applied and have been accepted into the program and will be helping out at the Ironman volleyball game. FCCLA, they have members that want to be a part of STAR events and submit projects to the state. Their goal is to have a Toys for Tots project during the Christmas season and to host a blood drive at the school. They have baked many cookies for their Halloween fundraiser and earned money that will go towards future projects and opportunities for members of the program. The football team qualified for state, yet their season ended last Friday night when they went up against the Sigourney Cobras. Even though their season came to an end, the boys did great, and the high school has made many great memories at the games, such as cheering at a student section, performing halftime shows for band, entertaining a crowd and cheering on the boys as a cheer team, and bringing the community together for some good old football games under the lights.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board? All right. Thank you, Haley. All right, next we'll move on to the administrator and director reports. We had Ms. Woods' report. Is there any questions or anything for Ms. Woods? Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over Roadrunner Celebrate Success. I apologize. Let's start with that. The student data will be presented by the leadership team. Thanks for catching.
Yeah, you're good. Did you want to start off? No, go ahead. Okay, so we are going to share about the Iowa School Performance Profile and our measurement and how we performed on that over the last year. My name's Carla Day, too, by the way. So what the Iowa School Performance Profile is Iowa's state and federal report card. And it's looking at various measures. It's really focusing on school improvement for schools in Iowa. So it's measuring schools and providing rankings within the school districts across Iowa. Okay, go ahead. So some of the metrics included would be ISASP. So it looks at proficiency for math, English language arts, and science, and then growth for math and English language arts. It's also including things like attendance, chronic absenteeism, and then growth in attendance. Includes graduation, and then work-based learning measures and college and career readiness. It is a public site, so anybody in the state, actually anybody anywhere, can access the site and see the scores for all schools and districts across the state.
Okay, so the next few slides are specific to elementary. That kind of gives you the run of the Iowa School Performance Profile for I-35 Elementary since they started in 2018, and then also keep note that there was a shift in how they were scoring in 2024, and so it doesn't quite equate across the board, but you can kind of see the history of that, and you know, as you can see, there was a point where we were identified as a school that needed some support to be successful, and has since been well above those types of benchmarks. Went down a little bit this year, but we'll talk about what we went down by and why and what we're doing. Slide 5 just shares with you all the categories and our scores that go through for the elementary. So there's some differences in secondary buildings versus elementary buildings. The majority of elementary points go into ISASP, how many kids took it, how much growth was there, how much proficiency was there, et cetera. Last year, when they made those shifts, they also took off, if you remember, there used to be a survey about how students felt at school in relation to staff, peers, et cetera. They took that survey off. They replaced that with 2 measures about attendance. And so those are on there as well, and areas that we'll visit about briefly. Slide 6 just shows our points. So not everything's worth the same amount of points. You can see, we'll discuss in a second, attendance growth, for example, is worth 50 points, and we obtained 4.5 points for that. Whereas, you know, percent proficient is worth 100, and so that's more equate to the percentage of kids that we had pass the test. So things are worth different amounts of points, and scores are put into that, and that's how they get to those hundreds of points that you see in our total score. Slide 7 shares with you. I like to look at it this way. One thing I usually say is I don't really care how the state's doing. Like this average median is not the bar we're setting. You know, we want to be the best. And so I prefer to look at it in this measure. So we're looking at other schools. Where are they at? Other schools that we compete with, that we know regularly. So this is kind of my preference of view there. So as you can see, I think last year we were sitting about 4th, and in comparison with these schools, we went down to 6th. ELA proficiency went up slightly. ELA growth was the highest across those schools that were being compared. Math proficiency stayed very steady. Slide 8 shows you some more factors. So math growth, we were towards the top in that category. Science, we were towards the top as well. That was the first time elementary's taken science since 5th grade's been a part of elementary a long time ago. So very proud to see that number come back and not, you know, we have a good starting spot there. So chronic absenteeism went down. I think we were towards the top in the previous year. And I know Adam has this whole sheet linked on his, so if you want to go look at the history and the years and all that, you can. And then chronic absenteeism really didn't impact us last year. However, you can see it was very problematic, or attendance growth, sorry, this year. So those are the measures on the elementary end, and when you look at where are we at compared to those districts we compete with. Slide 9 talks about things to celebrate. We had growth in both our ISASP for ELA and math. We're staying steady in our proficiency rates from year to year. We're maintaining our current rates of proficiency, and we're not seeing any dips or discouraging, you know, oh, we made the wrong move, you know. We're very steady. We're above state average consistently on almost all measures, in most cases excelling beyond, and dedicated, our staff team continues to draw implications and take actions to proactively to further the most important measures of our school. Obviously, next slide, talking about what we need to work on. Obviously, you know, with a group of teachers, you always like, well, we could have done this better. Well, let's talk about what we need to celebrate first. So as a staff, we've had those types of conversations. I'm going to talk specifically about attendance growth. As you saw, there were some complications there. Since that, we've really got a definition of what's being scored there, how's it being scored there, and learned in detail what children are involved and how we impact that number in the future. Some things we've done or are doing. We've had parent meetings with students considered chronically absent last year, because those are the students whose attendance will be measured for attendance growth this year. And trying to work on that collaborative teamwork approach with them, because the rules are different via, you know, what you see for attendance measures on this are not the same as our attendance policies, or the percentages are different, right? At school, you gotta be here 80% of the time, but on this measure, it's 90% seat time, regardless of any exclusions. It's either you're in the seat or you're not. So there's clarifications like that, you know, the parents of those students, that they're being monitored this year. It's helpful to share and for them to know. We're monitoring those kids monthly to see what changes are happening, positive or negative, and seeing what we can do to help make a positive impact. And some of that's simply avoidable, right? There's life and surgeries and tonsils and, you know, real life stuff is happening, and all of that goes into that number regardless of if that's appropriate or not. So, and then working with those students that need that extra motivation, building incentive plans, making sure they have that trusted adult, time with the success coach, et cetera, to get them here. The other one we want to talk about in detail is math. I'm going to let Carla talk about that one.
Yeah, so from a math perspective, we've been really thinking about math across the district, but you know, here we're talking elementary, but really focusing on digging into the math data and figuring out where our gaps are. I think part of the conversations are about like what's our core instruction look like, but then also what supplemental needs do we have? And so really taking a look at what do we have and what do we need? And so some of the things we are doing, we may need to stop, we may need to add some things. So it's really just digging in and having the conversations about where we're at with math proficiency, and always focusing on growth as well. There are plans in place to go visit another high-performing elementary school and look at what their math block looks like and how they're achieving, and then coming back and having reflective conversations about what teachers saw and how that would be impactful to us here. I mean, it's a different system, but the reflective conversations on what can we take away from what's happening in that high-performing school and bring that back here to I-35. And then really just thinking about the K-12, again, K-12 conversations and that alignment of math from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade, and how are we providing that consistency with math instruction and learning throughout the district.
And then I have one last slide there, and it talks about some other things we're looking at, like those are the two major things that really impacted our overall score. Some other things the teams pulled out from that data and additional data. We're looking at writing and how we're teaching and learning within the subject of writing. We're looking at math fact automaticity, meaning, you know, as math programs evolve, one thing we're seeing a gap in is fact fluency and their ability to manipulate numbers very quickly and smoothly to be able to do more complex math. We want to make sure we're taking care of roadblocks that prevent specialists from providing the best supports. May that be title, special education, tag, all of those things, continuing to make sure they have access and resources and training and all of those things. We continue to focus on vocabulary as our fluency is at that pretty steady rate. And then we're really focused on differentiation in the classroom, meaning when you walk in, you shouldn't see 20 kids all working the same exact thing on the same exact material, right? I want to see those resources out for different kids who need them, very intentional with how we're helping each student reach the benchmark or exceed the benchmark if they're in a position to do so. And then one thing, again, my team's very good at focusing on what we need to fix, and not always the best at celebrating, so making sure that's always a part of our conversation. And with that, I'll let Adam talk about secondary.
I'm gonna go ahead and look up there because I will drop my computer if I hold it like that. So this chart, again, same as the elementary had. You can see that there's a change in the way the numbers look, and that basically comes from when they dropped the conditions for learning survey a couple years ago, and they replaced that with post-secondary readiness. And they calculate that with the percent of students taking or engaging in college courses. Also, the percentage of students engaging with like career readiness opportunities, whether it's like internships, things like that. So that's why the number looks different, but they have kind of done a calculation so it's comparable year to year. If you open up my principal report, it'll be in there and you can actually look through all that detail. The cool thing that we see as we look at it that way, the high school or the secondary level has been improving at a higher rate than the state has been improving. So we've seen statewide increase in scores, but the gap between the state average and the high school has gotten bigger and bigger, so we're improving. Again, like Dr. Woods said, we don't want to just always compare ourselves to others, but when you're growing, you want to make sure that you're growing at a rate that's better than others, so to say. I don't know how to put that anywhere else, but we are seeing some good improvements, and we got a good score this year. Overall is commendable, so we're happy to see that. So you can see the different scores here helped us kind of set some goals, helped us dig into the data a little bit more. Some of the things that we felt like we had some greater influence on. We're kind of looking at how can we engage students more with the curriculum, with lessons. Sometimes you can get lessons where it's listen to the notes, fill in the blanks, turn it in type of thing. How can we get students processing at a deeper level, engaging in conversations with their peers, their classmates, finding evidence or making reasons, supporting with evidence type of things. But just trying to get kids really engaged with the lesson at a deeper level. Also looking at our post-secondary planning scores. That was a little bit lower than we had anticipated. And when we looked at it, we realized that it was a score taken off the previous year. So like 2024-25 versus the 25 graduating class. So we are anticipating that score will go up. We've done a lot of work with our district career and academic plan, our DCAP, that we presented in the past. And that we think will have a heavy impact here. As a matter of fact, we think that score will get closer to 100%, which will be great. Again, these are how we get our points. Kind of help us dig deeper into what we looked at. So this is that spreadsheet that shows where we are compared to other schools in our sports districts. So the teams that we compete against in our district. Schools that are very similar in size to us, very similar makeups. So there are some higher and lower for reduced rate schools, different things like that. But just kind of how do we compare to those around us that we compete with? If you open this one up in my principal notes, this is the one that Dr. Woods was referring to. The cool thing about this one is that red bar is what we highlighted our school with. You see those bars climb each year. You look back at 2021, we were at the bottom of the list, and we're climbing up to the top. So this year we're sitting at like 3rd, 2nd, 5th, where in the past we were like 8th, 9th, down at the bottom. So again, showing some district-wide improvements. The chronic absenteeism one, that's a tough one. That's one where we feel like it's hard to really control that one. We have to kind of implement like the state laws around absenteeism. It's kind of tough when you got families taking like week-long vacations, and that's several students may be gone for a week. Harvest season right now, it's like hard to, people got to get work done, so it's kind of hard to really influence that one other than, upholding the rules. Here's our graduation rate. Not really sure why we fell down to 96. We had like 2 or 3 students a couple years ago that tried out the high set, and we didn't get any report back from those, so we're not sure if they finished. I think that's what that number's lower. I think that's what's caused that one to be lower. Our college credit, that's the number based on the percent of students engaged in college classes, and then our work-based learning there, 29. Again, I hope to see that one at 100% because one of the things we've tweaked is our life skills class that we offer to juniors was not coded correctly to get credit for the state or from the state as they run this report as a post-secondary readiness course. And when we're doing things like taxes, changing tires, all kinds of life skills, that definitely is a life and employability skills course that 100% of our students get exposed to. So that number right there should definitely increase next year on top of all the other opportunities that we offer. So here's some of the celebrations for growth. First of all, we've demonstrated growth in nearly every category. We continue to climb. We'll continue to look at opportunities to grow and do better and improve our school system. Our steady here is proficiency rates. From year to year, we are maintaining our current rates of proficiency, same as elementary. We continue to see a steady climb. Above, again, this is that point I think I pointed out where the distance between us and the state average continues to grow. And we'll just kind of continue to set that bar high, and hopefully we can keep moving forward. Our dedicated staff continues to grow in their collaborative efforts to take action and proactively to further impact the most important measures to our school community. So we do have a very dedicated staff, and we're very happy with the team we've got. So continue to work with them. Our big implications, these are the big takeaways for us. Number one, that student-centered lesson planning we're working on. We're working with teachers in our PLC meetings, our PD opportunities, and we're really looking at skills and ways to engage students at a deeper level, deeper processing level, things that the way they have to think about the material, different strategies to increase the depth of knowledge that they have to use. Our I team, our instructional coaches are really delivering some great professional developments with the teachers. We've had some great PD events the last couple times together. And they are creating an environment with high levels of meaningful feedback from administrators, coaches, and peers. So our walkthrough system, got a funny pineapple story. I suppose maybe, I don't know. Yes, no? Anyway, we're trying to get teachers more comfortable with people coming into their classrooms. So hey, if you're doing something cool, put this up on the door. And the story I told was one I did when I was in a previous school. It's like, all right, what we've got a pineapple because, in the Dutch community, pineapple means welcome and prosperity, great things happening. So put this pineapple outside your door if you're doing something great. Well, I started walking around and I see all these upside down pineapples on teachers' doors. And they would all laugh like, hee hee, and I'm like, what's going on? Somebody had to explain to me what that meant. Anyway, told that story to the staff, and we changed our symbol to a stop sign. So something a little bit different, trying to get the same thing, trying to get people into the classrooms, providing each other feedback, whether it's peer-to-peer, whether it's a coach or an administrator, but just trying to keep things positive and growing and moving forward. And our focus on our IEPD piece, our individual, that's supposed to say career development plan, ICDP, the student's post-secondary plan after graduation, our DCAP basically, but the DCAP at the individual level for the students. We want every student to have that plan for after high school, and this goes into those career exposures, college visits, all those things, kids taking those college classes, so that's where we're hoping to have that big impact on that number. And one of the things up there down at the bottom, we're hoping to incorporate some future-ready conferences, just to improve some collaboration between students, parents, and teachers. And what that would be is just students talking to their parents with the staff member about where they're at with their goals, their skills, their interests, what classes relate to that, and also what careers and what opportunities after high school relate to that. So just making sure we're streamlining our students' efforts there. Smaller, working through the intervention structures. One of the things that we have kind of noticed maybe a place for us to really strengthen some things is intervention at the high school level. Students who struggle at tier 2, tier 3 level of intervention. We don't necessarily have an interventionist any longer. That was a position we had a few years back. Don't have that. So we're really having to work through with teachers, like how can we do this better? And so one of the plans that we have is to develop a better system as a team with the teachers. What can we do better? How can we do this differently? How can we help students that are really struggling? The traditional grading system that we've moved to allows for more frequent grade polls and office intervention. This kind of has to do with like if students not doing well, if they show up on our DF list multiple weeks in a row, they could be ineligible. They can also have intervention from our BAT team. So it's created a little bit more transparency with where the grade is and some intervention with students. Removing the electronic devices as a distraction I think has helped. And just to kind of report out on that, we haven't really seen as much of as many cell phones having to be turned into the office as I had anticipated. I thought that was going to be a lot of busy work, but students have actually done really well. And I think it's helping their learning environment. Students are doing a better job in the classroom. We've also tried to install some hallway music. I don't know if you guys have heard it when you've come to visit, but we have music that plays during the passing period. And then it shuts off when there's 30 seconds left. And we're all like, 30 seconds, and like trying to encourage them to get to class. And I think I need to pull up some data to really, put something up there. But it seems like we've got a reduction in tardies. So it seems to be helping. And if nothing else, it's helping with school culture because the kids like Monday morning, like, what's the music going to be, And you see staff dancing, you see kids dancing, so it's kind of fun. We make sure we change up the music each week so it doesn't get too redundant for them, but. Is that it? All right.
Any questions from the board? So I did have just a quick question on the chronic absenteeism. I know the law, 2 years ago was not ideal for our type of community and some of the stuff that they had in there, but the legislature did amend that this year. Do you feel that the changes they made will potentially help you? Because I now know more things now are considered exempt and should not count against that. So just based off what you're seeing on our absenteeism, do you think some of those changes will be in our favor? Like now parents can, call their kid in sick rather than having to have a doctor's note every time?
I think it helps a little bit. It really helps with the conversations. It's kind of hard conversations in the past, like, hey, you got a funeral, sorry. Now it's like, we understand, thank you for letting us know. Best of wishes to you and your family,
But also, the legislation that was passed with chronic absenteeism and truancy and the Iowa School Performance Profile are two different measures. I think actually Dr. Woods pulled some data and may have the numbers off the top of her head, but they don't use the same measure. So even if a child is attending a funeral and it's exempt, according to legislation, and that's how we mark it, Iowa School Performance Profile does not see it as exempt. It still counts it as absenteeism.
Yep, and I will say too, if you look at our 2024 Iowa School Performance Profile, so prior, which counts the 2023 data, that was the year prior to those new rules, all the new rules, we had a chronic absenteeism rate at the elementary of 8.75. This year, on our 2025 report, with the first year of that new data, we went up to 9.88. So we actually lost ground in chronic absenteeism as measured by the Iowa School Performance Profile and as measured by, 80% when you look at how many students were gone more than 80%. The last year we had our own rules versus the first year we had our changes. We actually went backwards.
That is absolutely mind-blowing to me. So who makes the rules for the Iowa School Performance Profile? What entity gets to set that bar?
Department of Ed.
The Department of Ed.
Department of Education? Okay.
And I think you kindly heard me say a snide comment about, well, we don't necessarily agree with what's being measured. It's being measured against our school. And so those are, parents have been really, really good about having that conversation. Like, I know this seems silly, and frankly it is. When I'm talking about, kids that broke 2 arms last year and had to get tonsils removed, and now they're chronically absent and being monitored. It's just, there's some silly situations being measured, but at the end of the day, there's a score and our name's on it, my name's on it, so we still want to try to improve that as best we can.
And I'll just say firsthand, thank you, for your efforts. I think it's absolutely mind-blowing to me that there's 2 different bars, one set by the Iowa legislature and then one set by, bureaucrats that don't align to Iowa law. So I appreciate you trying to account for that. Yeah, thank you.
Stay close because my report's next. Yeah.
Stay up here.
Yes, we're going. So now we'll move on. Now we'll move on to the administrator's reports. Is there any questions for Ms. Woods? Okay. I just want to say thank you. You had some, detailed information on there of where we are at, as far as these benchmarks. And I think for me, the goals that you have in the paragraph up there where you're clearly stating, hey, this is where we're at. These are the actual goals we want. And I know we've talked in the past and you've showed us some of the activities that you're doing. And you talked about this earlier as well. You're going to try different things in the previous conversation. I just want to say it's okay. Sometimes things won't work, right? And the important part is to try it and find out that didn't work and come back with something else. And I see you guys doing that, and you're clearly, driving the bar higher with each successive iteration that you have. So thank you for all your work you guys are putting into that. Anything else? Okay. And Mr. Beckles' report? Any questions from the board? I just had a quick question on the ISAS reports. You have yellow, blue, and dark blue on there. What is the? There's no chart that I could see that's said.
Yeah,
what
so
the
the yellow portion of the graph is exceeding.
Okay.
The blue is at benchmark, and the dark blue is underperforming.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense now, and I think the rest of it was the stuff we just covered in the previous, so. All right, thank you, Mr. Beck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and then Ms. Good, I don't know if I saw that at the time was on there. I apologize, any questions from the board from Ms. Good on there? Oh yes, I did read that. So again, I want to say thank you for showing the trending over time, and I know we talked at the SIAC meeting about some of the challenges and opportunities that you have going forward, and I would welcome if we have a Roadrunner Celebrate Success time for you to be able to come up and talk with the community about that, because you guys are doing some really good things, and it'd be good to highlight that. So. questions from the board? Okay. And Jess can still hear me, right? Still? Okay. I don't want to be skipping over her if she had something, so. Okay. And then Mr. Weber's report? No questions from the board? Okay. And Ms. Day? Sorry, we've got more this time, so thank you guys for taking the time to fill these out. All right, and then finally, Deputy Hollerud's report. Any questions from the board on that? Okay. All right, thank you. Next up, we have the superintendent's report. Don't think we have much for facilities update, but we're wrapping that up.
Yeah, so we have, there's some, as far as facilities go for baseball, softball complex, there's some final pay apps on the agenda tonight for approval. And then I think Garrett said we have one more, a plumbing contractor just didn't have time to get theirs submitted. So it sounds like we'll just have one more pay app, and then that project will be all wrapped up. So that'd be nice to have that behind us and move forward.
Next, we have board policy updates, the first reading. I did read through these. These are, standard updates based off of legislative changes, nothing concerning in there. I did note that one of the policy updates will require the board to make some decisions on, it actually pertains to board committees, and if people miss certain number of, if they're appointed to a committee and they miss a certain number, this policy just has like a blank section that we need to, pick a number, whether it's 2 committee meetings or 3 they miss, then they would be replaced on the board, or on the committee, sorry. And the way it typically works is this is the first reading, so we would make a recommendation to administration to update that section, and then when it comes back for its second reading, they would have it with that update. So that's the only one that we'd have some discussions on. So does anybody on the board have an opinion on what they think that number should be for us? I mean, most of our committees only meet a couple times a year, right? So, if somebody misses 2 committee meetings, they miss 2 years worth of, meetings. So when I was thinking through that, that's a long time for somebody not to be engaged, and we really should have people on it that want to be engaged. So my recommendation would be 2, because if somebody misses 1, yeah, I get it, like something comes up, so you can't really say 1, but 2, that's 2 years worth of missing somebody on a committee. And I don't know if either of you have any thoughts or recommendations or what you've seen in the past. Okay.
No, I think this is somewhat new.
Yeah.
What I've been used to in the past is if someone hasn't been attending, then we would just say, hey, Nathan, are you sure that you even want to be on this committee?
Yeah.
But sometimes even if you can't come to the meeting, you might have information that you've brought and we've discussed, and we can pass that information on, so it just kind of depends.
Yep.
But having it in writing, yes, we need to, so whatever works.
Yep. And I also think, if people have circumstances that come up, it doesn't automatically mean that if you miss 2, you're immediately off, right? If you emailed ahead of time or provided feedback, like you said. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. 2 that makes sense. But isn't there a new committee every year?
None of my experience, like we'll appoint new people as people come and go, but for the most part, they continue to roll on if people are on a committee.
Okay.
So now the committees we serve on, yes, every year during our annual meeting, we'll reappoint each other to different committees, but as far as the non-board member committee members, they my experience, continue to be on as long as they want to.
Yeah, okay. I know I had talked to a community member who didn't know how to even get on the committee and wasn't aware of the committee. So when I walked through it, they were pretty excited that they would have an opportunity to serve. So I don't know if there's a limit. I know some of the committees have a limit. I'm getting off topic here. But just something, I don't know if should we say anything about a term, or I wouldn't even know how to word that, but I don't want it to get where there's too many people, but it's the same people serving, you know what I mean? I want there to be an opportunity for other people to serve. Something to think about.
Yeah, that's something, we could always bring the policy back later and add language. I don't think admin's prepared to insert language on that between now and the next reading, but we could definitely add, certain term limits to that, to this policy. And this is new, just required by law, right? Yeah, to have this in, so.
And this is also something too, we can do a first reading, we can do a second reading, and we can do a third reading. Like if you want to give us feedback, we can work on what that looks like and bring it back. We don't have to approve it at the next meeting. If we just want to bring it back with some ideas and things in there, that's perfectly fine with us. And then we can move the other ones forward into final approval and sit on this one for another meeting. We could do that too. So it's whatever you guys want us to do.
And I would also just add, if, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if there is anybody interested in serving on a committee, they should reach out to Chad, or there's always opportunities, and so, yeah. So for now, as the board, we don't have to vote. We just, say, hey, we recommend 2, and we obviously would vote on it during the second or third reading whenever we bring it up. So is the board comfortable with, say, 2 in there for now? No concern from Jess. Hopefully she can still hear me. So, okay. All right. Next, we'll move on to discuss or approve the consent items. We have the past meeting minutes from the board working session on 10/15, as well as which that was the facilities open or facilities forum, and then the regular board meeting from September. We had our monthly bills and financial statements. Resignations and contracts, Jennifer Holligan hired as the FCC LA sponsor, and Lucas Blanchard hired as a custodian. And then resignation, Rick Gray retires effective December 31st, 2025. We had open enrollment, 2 denies, and 2 denies in and 2 out. And then we had approval of early graduates for Ross Boffman and Jacob Schweitzer. And then approval of the September pay apps for the field projects for $61,709.98. Is there a discussion on the consent items? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on the consent items.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items as presented.
It's been properly motioned to approve the consent items as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We'll give that one to Jess. So, all right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have our action agenda. The first up, we have the approval of Magic School AI. The digital tools team will provide a presentation regarding Magic School AI. The recommendation is to approve Magic School AI for $3,499.41. And I think we all had a little flyer here that I had a chance to read beforehand. And and is the presentation the same as the flyer? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
And Heather's here.
Yep,
to
go
answer
ahead.
questions, give a quick presentation on it.
Yep.
Any questions? No, I'm just kidding. So just a little bit of background. Last winter, we provided you with, or asked you to approve our AI handbook. And one of the approved tools that we had on there was Magic School. We had gone through several different AI tools that we reviewed as a digital tool team to see which ones we wanted to encourage staff to use here in the district, and Magic School was on that list. One of the primary reasons for that was that it was designed for students and staff use. It was designed for teachers. So there is a lot of benefits to having a paid subscription, and I kind of outline them here on this pamphlet I handed out to you. One of the things that we're really looking for with this paid version is creating some student equity within this. If we have all staff using the same AI tool, we have a better opportunity for those tools to be similar versus if somebody's using Magic School, somebody's using ChatGPT, somebody else is using Gemini, somebody else is using Microsoft Copilot. Every one of those generative AI tools are going to give you different responses and different quality of work. If we have everybody using the same one, we're going to level the playing field for our students. In addition, this is designed for student use, so when we start to broach the idea of using AI tools with our students, this provides us with a tool that's designed for student use and gives us those guardrails to ensure that students are using this safely.
And I would just add on that too, just providing them the ability to use AI appropriately and teaching them how to use it, because I know that students are using AI when they go to college, so, and the world outside of high school. We also know that there's several districts in the area that are already investing in Magic School, so this will help keep us competitive. And then we do have, if everybody is using the same tool, it allows for more equitable training and PD and support for our staff. What else? One of the things that I think is really important with having a paid version is it does provide us with an opportunity to look at some data and analytics that we'll be able to look at as an administrative team that we wouldn't be able to if everybody's using a free version. So that's kind of a big push for me, and along with that, it also does provide us with some enhanced data security and privacy settings that we can allow for our students and teachers. We can make sure that we as a district own our data and not Magic School. Anytime you use any kind of a free product, especially generative AI, nothing is free, they're selling your data. With this, we own our data, which is really important. This also provides, with a paid version, we also have again, that we own our data, so anything that goes into this, we can still have access to. We can pull up what prompts are being used, we can look at how students are using this, and if we want to use it for goal setting, we don't have to worry about somebody else looking at what our students' goals are, or what our teachers are using in terms of like, what am I thinking here? In terms of like IEPs or anything like that. So we have a little bit more security with what we're putting into those prompts, as well as the PD that we would have access to with the paid version. Because we generally, Magic School's subscription is from July 1 to June 30th, because we're kind of late into getting into this, we do have a prorated quote for $3,499. So this would give us 6 months to encourage our staff to use it, check for those analytics, look and see what our data usage is, and then decide if we want to continue a subscription, a full year subscription.
So it's not like an automatic renewal at the end of the, okay.
Is there any software that we currently have that would be able to, that we wouldn't be using anymore because of this?
Not with this. This is a new tool.
Okay. And would like the goal settings and things that for the kids that are put in there, would those be able to follow the kid? Like the teacher the next year would have access to that to be able to?
That I can't say with certainty whether that is the case or not, but I think the way we would put our information in would at least, I think it has the capabilities of it. I would have to look into it for sure to know, but I think it's designed for year-to-year accumulation of data.
I know you said you can monitor, and protect like what the kids are putting in, and provide feedback if it's being used inappropriately. Do you also have the ability to see what the AI is telling the kids, and be able to proactively address things if AI is going outside the bounds of what we deem appropriate?
Yeah,
okay.
That's my understanding. That's one of the selling features of a paid subscription that they encourage us to use.
Okay, awesome.
Jessica's got something to say.
Go ahead, Jess.
Well, I actually was lucky enough to meet with 3 members of the IT team to discuss this a little further, because I was one of the ones that had questions on it, so I super appreciate that they took the time to do it. And it also added, we had talked about we can monitor the data so we can see how many teachers actually eventually use it, if that's correct, Heather, if you had told me that, so we can see like at the end if we're kind of getting, you know, our money's worth to make sure everyone's using it. And Ms. Day acknowledged that they would definitely be putting on a PD for the teachers, to show them all kind of the cool things they were telling me that it can do. And the biggest thing I just wanted to express in the meeting too, we had talked about was they could teach the kids kind of the safety features of using AI, because it can kind of get into that murky water of not so good. So this would allow them that tool and access to do that. Did I say that all right, Heather?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jess. Any more discussion from the board? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the Magic AI.
It's been properly motioned. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Been properly motioned and second. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you. All right, next up we have the appointed delegate for the ISB 2026 legislative platform. So the ISB encourages all board members to review the proposed platform, and it will guide our advocacy efforts for next year. And the board just needs to recommend and vote somebody to be the delegate for the ISB 2026 legislative platform.
And I'd just like to comment that Nathan was it previously, and he's part of the board. Is that what they're called?
I'm on the Legislative Action Committee, which is a committee of the IASB board, correct? Yep. All right. Seeing none, sorry, did you have comment? Or, okay. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend board member,
Board member Nathan Gibson to continue to support the I-35 BOE as the IASB delegate.
All right, it's been properly motioned to recommend Nathan to represent I-35 Board of Education at the ISB delegate. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have approval of district signage. This is, will add new updated district directional signage around the district. The recommendation is to approve Image 360 to complete the creation and installation of new district signage for $19,252. Is there a discussion?
Do you need anything more? I can, so that, as part of the baseball, softball upgrades, this was part of that expense as well. So this will create common signage around the whole district leading up to the new baseball, softball complex around the district that way. And also, they'll be built as such as we can add and remove portions as other things as the district changes. So they can be manipulated that way. So Rick has spent several months getting the quotes and everything and getting everything lined up. So this would just be to get all of that directional signage and everything updated, including the front of the building all the way to the back. So.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Image 360 quote.
It's been properly motioned to approve the quote as recommended. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We're properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have the early retirement plans. We spoke about this at the last board meeting, and April's been talking with, emailing all of us with information, and you're getting your feedback. So we need to make a decision at this board meeting about the early retirement plans. Is there a discussion from any member of the board? So one of the things from my perspective is obviously we want to continue to, support and reward our teachers that have been here for a long time. I think that's really important to me, but equally important obviously is also to remain, fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars, and every bit of money we spend comes from the taxpayers. So for me, my perspective, as long as we have the funds and the management funds and it makes sense, I like to continue to support this as much as possible, but at the same time, it all comes down to, where the district is sitting financially, and then also being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. So as I thought through this, I know we made a change a couple years ago to go up to 50,000, and I think that made sense at the time. I think that for me, continuing to offer that long-term, I don't think makes sense, financially, but I also want to make sure people have enough heads up and time. So I know for me, I would be supportive of it for this year, but I would say next year, would I still be supportive for financially sitting in a good spot? Yes, but financially supportive for 50,000, I don't think so. I think we continue to look at that and give folks a heads up ahead of time that it may not, continue to be $50,000, and I don't think I would be supportive of that next year. I don't want to decrease it this year because no one's been given a heads up, but next year it may not be there, and it may not, be at $50,000, or at least I wouldn't be supportive of it at $50,000 for next year. And then on the staff side of the house, I continue to believe that sick pay was earned by them, and I continue to believe that we should pay them for those hours. That's what they've earned. So for me, I'm supportive of continuing that staff early retirement that we had from last year. So yeah, for the support staff, exactly. So I guess for me, I would, my recommendation, or I guess desire, is to continue to approve both as is from last year, but I know next year I won't necessarily be supportive of the full 50,000. We need to be a little bit more responsible, but that doesn't mean I'm not supportive of the idea of still having it next year. It just may not be 50,000. So that's my feedback to my peers. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I think just each year it needs to be evaluated, the criteria. We always have some opportunities to look at that and change the age and the longevity. And I do agree with you, depending on how that falls with the budget. Obviously, that's very important. And that's why we talk about it in several board meetings before we make a vote, to give the opportunity for anyone to have those conversations. So I would agree it's something that has to be really tightly evaluated each year, obviously because of budgeting.
And the one thing I would recommend that's not on here, but if a board member does decide to make a motion, whatever it is, I do think that motion needs to include a cutoff date on when those early retirement forms need to be submitted, and I would defer to the administration on what they want that date to be.
Typically, it has been, once the approval is done, I'll modify the applications for staff to apply for both sets of employees. And then I want to say it's a 30 or 45-day window that they've got to turn those in. So either way, we would have that before we complete the budget for next fiscal year, because that's when it'll get paid out of. It'll come out of fiscal 27.
Okay. So the board members don't need to make a motion with a date. Yours will have a date on when that deadline is, and they cannot apply after that deadline has passed.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
And if they apply, they can ask for a extension, but that would all be presented to the board if that's the case. But
Okay.
otherwise, that decision should be done during the expectation in those plans.
The window, okay, all right. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a,
Approve last year if you wanted to, same as last year to make it easy.
that's,
Yep.
yeah. I'll make a motion to approve how we had it offered last year. Do you need me to read specifically?
No, just
Okay.
if there's any changes, if it's the
Okay.
same for both categories.
No
we're good.
changes. The same for both categories. Thank you.
Okay, it's been properly motioned to approve the early retirement with the same conditions as last year. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
It's been properly seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Next, we have approved the bus repairs with UTB, bus 11 repairs for $8,411 at United Truck and Body, and the recommendation is to approve that. Is there discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve bus number 11 repairs with UTB.
It's been properly motioned. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have approval of the middle school winter cheer coach stipend for $1,360. Is there any discussion? All right. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the winter middle school cheer coach stipend.
It's been properly motioned. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Next, we have the SLFRF, it's a mouthful, safety grant. So with our vulnerability assessment, it was determined that fencing around our elementary building needed modifications or updates. Each building is budgeted $50,000 for those items. The elementary building has utilized approximately $20,000 for the updated entrance, leaving $30,000 to address fencing recommendations. The recommendation is to approve Clanton Creek quote for $9,551 and not to exceed grant approval of $30,000. Is there discussion?
I just want to add that I add the not to exceed the 30,000 because the grant
50
is
higher.
50,000 per building, and when we applied, we had the 3 buildings. So if there's anything that comes in the works, that we can go ahead and get it done without having to bring it back to the board is why we do that kind of limit on those so high. We don't expect it to be, but I just wanted to make it so we could move forward faster.
Thank you. Is there discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Clanton Creek quote.
It's been properly motioned to approve the quote as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next are upcoming dates. So remember, everybody get out, vote on November 4th, 2025. It's coming up next week. And our next board meeting will be Monday, November 24th. Outside that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Been properly motioned. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned.